I look forward to the Alien Prometheus movies more than any other films at the moment. First it was Ripley, and now it's Shaw. The characters are so well done, you end up caring about whatever sort of adventure they're on. What I'm saying is that you want strong writing, but because you appreciate the writer's work, you appreciate what they came up with next. What I'm saying is, I'm a fan. The Prometheus movies and books are really creative. That being said, some of the choices in the movie were confusing, particularly Shaw. They left Shaw with a fresh alien ship and an evil robot head in a duffel bag. She was set to explore the origins of humanity. She was hunting down the space gardeners. The story had a great send off, full of hope. Shaw isn't in the second movie. It's a complete reset. She doesn't survive. Alien Covenant starts with the idea that David has reached the engineer homeworld, or a world similar to Earth, where the people turned out closer to the engineers. He kills them all. The moment David arrives, the ship has a warm welcome, but he unloads the black canisters. From a story standpoint, it makes you wonder why. If the Earth group wanted answers, why would David attack? If the Earth group wanted answers, why would David attack? I think it goes back to Prometheus. At the beginning of the film, Weyland-Yutani has a chat with David. They go over everything good in life. He also details his thoughts on creation and what an android is. Character wise, it makes you think. If the designer of robots had his own personal robot, would it be like the other robots? I say, probably not. I imagine David is designed to be a robot that is not meant to be mass produced. But when you look at Weyland-Yutani, his focus is on longevity. David is likely Weyland-Yutani. Weyland made a robot of himself and tutored it to understand exactly what he would want. It's likely a source of resentment David received from Weyland's daughter. Their relationship looks a lot like sibling rivalry, but she might have been staring at a younger version of her dad. She was definitely seeking approval. Not only did Wayland keep the wall up, but he sent himself as a secretary. In that movie Prometheus, he basically said, "No, you cannot talk to me," while sending a robot version of himself to say it. Leaving Prometheus, there was hope in finding answers. The engineer they found was running from a problem. In Covenant, they find a civilization of engineers. Why did David drop a plague? I think it has to be Weyland-Yutani wanting revenge for not receiving answers. His own death and the death of his daughter. It's also possible that David assumes that they would never share answers. In that case, research makes sense. In Alien Covenant, a colony ship is en route to colonize the planet Onge 6. Is it Onge? I think it's Onge. Onge 6. A supernova damages the ship, which leads to the death of the captain, Branson. The crew looks for a leader, and no one wants the job. The captain's wife, Daniels, also refuses from being in mourning. She disappears in this movie unless fighting the alien. Because of what happens with Daniels, I think this movie is about grief. The natural, emotional, and physical response to loss. Grief is the response to the loss of something deemed important. It's not only Daniels, it's also David. The medical treatment for dealing with grief is just getting rest. No, the medical treatment for dealing with grief is just getting past the loss by doing something that makes you happy, possibly returning to work. Daniels feels the loss, but returns to work when people need looking after. In this film, there are clues here and there. The uniforms look like aviator uniforms. They wear old pilot caps. Later in the movie, Daniels fights off the aliens alone with Tennessee. It might be the best visual in the film when the alien pounces on the wing of the ship. There isn't much to the character of Daniels. It's sharp writing. She disappears and comes back at plot points. Story-wise, Daniels is someone that holds on to her dreams. Also, if Daniels makes it, so do thousands of others. David's grief is different. In grief, Daniels is looking after others. In grief, David looked after himself, which means David was living in his ego or shadow. In Alien Covenant, I think the creature itself represents grief. I think this film is saying that the best way to deal with grief is to confront it. There was confusion about this movie, but I think it's actually really bright. It's a giant metaphor on how to deal with the loss of a loved one. He may have even helped the audience's hand by killing off the character of Shaw. In the end, David wins, which makes it a cautionary story. Do not live in grief. It's dark. It's an endless cycle that can harm countless others. Thanks again, Phil. But in the end, I still like Shaw. The colonists wanted to start over and give a dystopian world a fresh start. It's likely what the Last Supper imagery was about. But I still like Shaw. It's a great detective story with Shaw. She looks through archaeological sites for clues about the etymology of humanity, finds an answer, and it's another digging site. The engineers wanted to destroy Earth, and she likely would have shown up as a fan. An archaeologist on a spaceship is pretty neat.